Well, we thought with tight end U wrapping up, it might be an appropriate time to discuss who are some of the best tight ends in the league. And in particular, we had the caller earlier, Adam, called in about the Titans situation. Austin Hooper seems like an upgrade on the position, given his background. They draft Chigakonkwo in the 4th round, hoping that he can be a factor. And as I mentioned, he's certainly showed some flashes out there at OTAs and at minicamp, and then last week at tight end U. And the other thing that's impressive, and I think you just heard it, he's energetic. He just has a confidence and kind of a swagger in the way he carries himself about what's going on. I mean, number one, he's got $1 million smile. You can spot that anywhere, even on the football field. But two, he kind of gets it. He understands the media part of it. He understands relating to people. And he certainly speaks the right things about being around some of these stars and what you can glean from that and hopefully become a better all-around player. So we thought appropriate to bring in our good buddy, Jonathan Hutton, Outkick 360 host, our Titans and NFL insider, to talk about the tight end position. Who's the guy that he wants most on his team around the NFL of all guys? And then where are the Titans right now as we get set for 2022 after a down year at the tight end position last season in 2021? We bring in Jonathan Hutton, our NFL insider and host of Outkick 360. A lot of stars in town for tight end U this week, Jay Hutt. If you were building an NFL offense and could choose one current tight end to feature in it, who would you pick?
Steve, I'm looking to build my team in 2 to 3 years. It's going to be fast, and Travis Kelce is a must-have because he can do it all. He is a huge matchup problem across the field, and he comes to play every single week. For the future, I considered it right now just saying Kyle Pitts because he's the most physically gifted tight end to come into the league in years. But Kelce's he's still the top tight end of the league, 20 touchdowns over the last 2 years. He has at least 3 great years left. Give me the Chiefs star.
Certainly hard to argue with that. The Titans have made tight end a big part of their offense in recent seasons, but last year, we just heard from Jonnu Smith, they were unable to really fill the void left by him when he went to New England. Will it be a different story this year with the additions of Austin Hooper and Chigakonkwo?
I think it will be, Steve. And you're right. They did miss Jonnu Smith last season a lot. The Titans didn't have a number 1 tight end last year. And now they can enter Austin Hooper, who's a legitimate option for that number 1 spot. And then their rookie Chigakonkwo is a perfect number 2 option. He is built strong. He's fast. The 2022 Titans offense, I think, will go back to what they looked like with more 12 personnel, which was in 2020. They got away from it last year because they didn't have the personnel. And now Tim Kelly is here running the passing game. And now they have 2 and really 3 tight ends to get back to what they do best.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out this fall. Jay Hutt, hang tight. Really interesting stuff there. And I think the right assessment about the Titans offense, I think they can be much better this year, presuming health at other places, but in part because of having the tight end presence back in the offense. It not only is an area where you get different levels of production for your passing game, which the Titans really didn't have last year. It was pretty much all on the wide receivers. But there's something about that tight end that Ryan Tannehill seems very comfortable with. When they were in that 12 personnel his first 2 years here in Nashville, Ryan Tannehill was one of the best quarterbacks statistically in the NFL. Last year you get away from that, and again, chunk of that's going to be the injury factor. Chunk of that's going to be Jonnu Smith leaving. Chunk of that's going to be a new offensive coordinator. But you pile all that together, and last year was a down year for Ryan Tannehill. So you need him to bounce back, and I think you maybe have a few more weapons around him, and I think you have the ability to get back to that 12 personnel in the formation groupings that the Titans used so successfully with Tannehill in his first 2 years. Another question, major question, about a quarterback up in Cleveland. Deshaun Watson, of course, dealing with all of the off-field stuff, 24 different lawsuits alleging sexual harassment and assault stemming from his time in Houston. Texans were able to trade him away, unload him to the Browns, but now Cleveland's got to deal with the fallout here because he's going to go in front of NFL investigators this week. We're going to figure out, I think, in the not-too-distant future, what Deshaun Watson's future for this season is. Is he going to be able to play? Is he going to face a multi-game suspension? Is he going to be out for the entire season? I think all of that's on the table right now for Deshaun Watson. How big of a mess is this for Cleveland, given where they've been, where they're trying to get to, and where they stand right now with their quarterback? And if he can't go, what happens then? A lot of questions out there, and it has certainly become the biggest story of the offseason once you get past the draft and all of that. And now we really have the countdown to training camp. Will Deshaun Watson be there? What can his role be with the Browns, and how big of an impact does this all make for that Browns team that has the talent but has been unable to live up to it over the last few years? JB stepped in with Jay Hutt to tackle this topic.
Jonathan Hutton rejoins us. Okay, Jay Hutt, we heard Jacob Phillips say Deshaun Watson hasn't been a distraction, but this has been the story of the offseason in the NFL, and there's no guarantee he's going to be allowed to play at all. How big of a mess has this been for the Browns, and what happens if he can't play?
It is a mess, and it is a distraction. I'm sorry, Jacob Phillips. But the Browns brought this on themselves, JB. Jacoby Brissett is going to be the starter if he can't play, because Watson is likely to be suspended indefinitely. Josh Dobbs is the backup right now. That could change if they trade Baker Mayfield for another quarterback. We know about the guaranteed contract for Watson, and if it's a suspension for the full season, that contract will toll to the next year. He's likely out of football, John, for 2 straight years now, and the Browns are going to head in training camp with Brissett as their number one. It absolutely is a distraction. It's been totally mismanaged, and it's hard to feel sorry for the Cleveland Browns, but at the same time, it shows you how desperate they were at that position.
Oh, I see. Only in Cleveland. Jonathan, thanks. You can catch Jay Hutt and Outkicks 360 here locally at 2 on 94.9 The Fan.